Lately, I've been wondering something. Are people actually more negative, or am I just noticing it? Because I first started noticing it at work, where I spend all day talking to people. But then I started seeing it everywhere in grocery stores, restaurants, coffee shops, walking through the mall, even just overhearing conversations at the next table. A few years ago, if someone said, beautiful day today, most people would just agree. Now it feels like half the responses come with a complaint. It's too hot, too cold, too smoky, too windy. Winter's too long, summer's too short, too something. And it's not just the weather. Someone mentions a trip, and the first response is how expensive everything is. Someone shares good news, and then immediately there's a, oh yeah, but that follows. Someone gets excited about something, and then the downside shows up before they've even finished speaking. And after a while, I realized something else. I wasn't just hearing it, I was carrying it. I'd leave places feeling drained, tense, irritated, even though nothing actually happened to me. No conflict, no argument, no crisis, just hours of other people's stress and frustration sitting in the background. And it made me start to wonder, what's this doing to the rest of us? I'm Debbie, a holistic nutritionist for 15 years. And what that means is that I look at the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. And what I'm seeing is that it just seems like everyone's spirit is just off, a little bit dimmer maybe than it used to be in the past. And what I've learned over time is this. Most people think that stress is the big stuff. Illnesses, divorces, money problems, losing a job. And yes, those matter, but it's the small stressors that people just don't seem to think of as stress. This is what is wearing people down just as much as the everyday stuff, and they don't even notice it. The tone of conversations, constant complaining, overstimulation, scrolling constantly on the phones, the noise, other people's moods, and your system doesn't separate that into important and not important. It just absorbs it. And over time, that shit builds up. And I want to be really clear here because I'm not talking about people who have real problems. Life is expensive and people are stressed. Absolutely. There's a lot going on today. That's not the point. What I'm noticing is something different. It feels like people, they're running slightly on edge most of the time. They're less patient. They're quicker to react, quicker to complain, less space between something happening and something being said about it. And it shows up everywhere, not in a big dramatic moment, but in small everyday interactions. And I say that as someone who does it sometimes as well, which is exactly why I'm noticing it. Because here's the part most people are missing. You can't separate your mood, your stress, and your nervous system all from how you're feeling yourself. If you're running on coffee instead of meals, skipping breakfast, grabbing random food between stress moments, eating ultra-processed food all day long, and not getting enough real protein, real healthy fats or minerals, and then crashing into sugar, wine, or salty snacks at night, your system never actually settles. So of course you feel on edge, tired but wired, irritable, restless, flat, looking for something to take the edge off, because your body isn't just reacting to your day, it's reacting to how you're being fueled through the day. And I think that people overcomplicate nervous system regulation. It's not one breathwork exercise or one hack. It's your daily basics. It's eating proper meals instead of grazing all day, calling it being busy. Getting outside instead of staying inside under fluorescent lighting, artificial lighting all day. Walking instead of sitting in stress. Drinking water instead of running dehydrated and just calling it normal. Slowing your inputs down instead of constantly consuming noise. And it's what you're putting on your plate, because food is one of the biggest regulators you have. Not in a complicated way, in a basic way. Real food steadies you. Processed food destabilizes you. And most people are stuck in a cycle of quick fixes, crashes, rinse and repeat. So if you want a stable mood and nervous system and emotional resilience throughout the day, you have to eat better. Full stop. Not perfectly, just better. Consistently real food. More color on your plate. Think rainbow, red, orange, green, yellow, blue, yellow, indigo, things that are real foods, actual meals, including leafy greens and vegetables every single day. Things like spinach, kale, broccoli, peppers, nuts, seeds, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, walnuts, almonds, healthy fats like avocado and olive oil, and oily fish, real carbohydrates like oats, potatoes, rice, beans, and lentils, and also fruit like berries, bananas, and apples. And make sure protein is at every meal so that you're not crashing and reaching for quick fixes all day. You're aiming for about 100 grams daily, so roughly about 30 grams a meal. And that's really easy to get if you're eating whole foods. And I know I mentioned mostly plant-based options, but guess what? Plants, they're protein. And on the other side, less ultra-processed food, sugars, alcohol, caffeine on an empty system, and less constant grazing that keeps your body in a reactive state. Not as a restriction list, just as a reality check on what actually makes you feel better versus what keeps you cycling. And this is where emotional eating actually makes sense, because when you've spent all day overstimulated, underfed, and running on stress, you come home hungry in a simple way. You come home frazzled. You're reaching for whatever gives you a quick shift, something sweet or salty, maybe it's both, a glass of wine, just something to take that edge off. And I see this as you trying to heal yourself in the best way you know how. And this is why food matters so much, because if your body is already under pressure all day, food can either add to that pressure or take away from it. So maybe people aren't actually negative. Maybe a lot of people are just underfueled, overstimulated, stressed, and running on empty most of the time. If you've been feeling that way too, the irritability, the fatigue, the low tolerance for everything, I want you to pay attention to it. Not judge it, just notice it, because sometimes it's not your mindset. It's not always just your attitude. Sometimes it's your nervous system asking for steadiness and your body asking for better food. These two things are not separate. They are connected and always have been. So give your body the right food to heal. It is always the message. So subscribe for no BS nutrition advice, and I'll see you in the next one.